Joining us on the broadcast, we have Amjad Ayub Mirza, who's a Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Kashmir human rights activist. We also have with us Abhinandan Mishra, who's the Chief of Bureau for the Sunday Guardian, a sister publication. We have Sumit Peer, political commentator, Colonel J.S. Sodhi, foreign affairs expert, Major Mohammed Ali Shah, defense expert and Empower Media panelist, as well as Madhav Nalapad, who is the editorial director of the Sunday Guardian, our sister publication. If I can begin by taking my first question from Colonel J.S. Sodhi. Colonel, you know, as far as Pakistan is concerned, today is going to be one of the most watch out for no trust votes against him in the Pakistan National Assembly. How do you see this faring out? Do you think that Imran Khan is in fact going to be ousted?
Jai Hind. When Imran Khan, as an 18-year-old young boy, played international cricket for Pakistan for the first time in 1971, he was fully aware that I will only play in the Pakistani cricket team till the time Pakistan Cricket Board wants me to do so. How many sixes I hit, how many wickets I take doesn't matter. It is only the Pakistan Cricket Board which will decide whether I will remain in the team or not. Many years later, 4 years back, as a 66-year-old man, Imran Khan, when he was elected as Pakistani Prime Minister with the help of the Pakistani Army, as he was falling short of numbers, and the Pakistani Army got him the requisite majority. Imran Khan that time also knew that he will be in power till the time the Pakistani Army Chief wants him to be in power. Well, after becoming the Prime Minister, the first ball he played in his political innings was went wrong, because he opposed the move of Shahbaz Sharif, who was the chairman of the PMLN and the opposition leader, to be the chairman of the PAC, or the Public Account Committee, which is a committee in Pakistan which looks after the Pakistani money affairs. For 5-6 months, this turmoil went on till then the Pakistani Army Chief, General Qamar Bajwa, had to step in, and Imran Khan had to give his, his acceptance for Shahbaz Sharif to become the PAC chief. Few months back in September, when the Pakistani Chief, General Qamar Bajwa, sent him a file which said that Lieutenant General Nadeem Anjum should be made as the next DGISI, Imran Khan sat on that file for 4 weeks. It was that time that the Pakistani Army Chief realized that now Imran Khan has to go. And all this political turmoil which is unfolding in the last few weeks is a result of the Pakistani Army Chief deciding that Imran Khan is no longer required as the Pakistani Prime Minister, because in Pakistan, the Pakistani Army controls the two most important things. One is the defense and one is the foreign affairs. Pakistan has a total say on these two things, and nothing can move in Pakistan without the approval of the Pakistani Army Chief. This no trust vote, which is going to happen very shortly, is definitely will result in Imran Khan being ousted. He will no longer remain in power. Imran Khan knew this very well when on 8th March, Shahbaz Sharif moved the no confidence motion in the National Assembly of Pakistan. He will not be in power because the Pakistani Army Chief had decided that Imran Khan will no longer be the Pakistani Prime Minister.
Alright, if I can rope in Major Mohammed Ali Shah, who's with us on the broadcast. Major Shah, we've just heard panelists before you speak, and one common line of opinion that continues to be formed is that it is the Pakistani army that continues to be in power, that continues to control the chess pieces, which are the prime ministers. Major Mohammed Ali Shah, do you then think that once Imran Khan is ousted, if Imran Khan is ousted, if the no trust motion against him in fact succeeds, then it is Bajwa who's next in line?
Well, Parisi, a very good question by you. See, I can be opinionated or I can lie in English, in Hindi or in Urdu. But I will not be able to be opinionated or lie in numbers, in facts, in figures, in statistics. Now, I'll quote a few things for you, Parisi. Starting from 14th August 1947, Liaquat Ali Khan, the first Prime Minister of Pakistan. Ever since then, Pakistan has seen 19 Prime Ministers, a total of 22 tenures of Prime Ministers, which means Nawaz Sharif came 3 times in power. So that's 22 Prime Ministers. None of the Prime Ministers till today have been able to finish a complete term. As Sumit P rightly brought out, only 3 Prime Ministers before Imran Khan Niazi have been able to do barely touch about 4 years or slightly 4 years plus. Now, when you talk about the parties where the ship sinks, the rats are the first ones to jump off from a sinking ship. the Mutahida Qawmi Movement, Pakistan, MQNP, and the Balochistan Awami Party, BAP, they pulled out from Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, Imran Khan's party. Now if you see the assembly in Pakistan, they have a total of 342 seats. Now the half of that, of 50%, that is 171 seats. So it's but obvious to cross the majority, to cross the mark of 50%, you need how many? 172 seats. Now, the opposition, that's Shahbaz Sharif, he already has 177 seats. Imran Khan, on the other hand, has 164 seats so far. So, and he is making all kind of lame excuses. Oh, I have proof over here. Well, if I threaten somebody, I have proof of you in this mobile phone, and is that proof enough? But I refuse to show the proofs. So, these are all tricks. Now, let's go back to 6th October. The order where the General Bajwa had taken out an order that the ISI chief would be changed for various reasons. I will come to them as well, one by one. Now, Imran Khan Niazi, for 3.5 weeks, sat on that order. He did not sign it. He felt that he is the Prime Minister, and there is some saying of the Prime Minister as well. That was his first mistake. He was meeting his Tuesday then. I sat with panel with Sumit Peer at that time, and we spoke about it on your channel. And Imran Khan days are numbered, and it's a miracle he survived for so long. Now let's go back to yesterday, as latest as yesterday. General Bajwa, on the other hand, is condemning the actions of Russia's invasion. On the other hand, Imran Khan hosts Russia, and he stands next to the President Putin, and he takes pictures, and he's showing over the whole world that how close he is to President Putin. Oh my goodness, what a comedy that is. Now, what is ISI? ISI is a spy agency. And what is the job of a spy? Common sense says the job of a spy is to do work quietly without making much noise about it. The ISI chief of Pakistan, General Faiz Hamid, reaches Pakistan after Taliban took over on 15 August 2021, and he poses with them. He goes and reads namaz with Talibanis because he has resisted fall back on. Now just a minute. Now when General Parvez was to come back, so just a minute, sir, please. When General Anjum Parvez was to come, sir, just a minute, sir, let me complete, please. My goodness, sir, आप mute कर दीजिए अपने आप को, अगर आपको समझ में नहीं आ रही मेरी बात, sir. So now when General Anjum Parvez was to come as the ISI chief, again Imran Khan sits on it. Why? Because, okay, let's go back to history again. You know, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was brought in by General Ayub Khan, but later on executed by the Pakistani military itself through a High Court order. Nawaz Sharif, who was also the Finance Minister of Pakistan in 1983, of Punjab province of Pakistan. Now the Punjab governor has been sacked. Okay. Now Nawaz Sharif came to power 3 times. The military had got him. General Ziaul Haq had got him the first time. General Ziaul Haq also met his fate with the American delegation at an air crash. The case of the exploding mangoes, where explosives were loaded along with the mangoes and the plane crashed. Now you see Benazir Bhutto, who was assassinated by who? By General Parvez Musharraf. And one of their generals are sitting and running away from the country. General Parvez Musharraf has ran away. Nawaz Sharif has ran away. Now Shahbaz Sharif can come into power. Also, one more thing, that own Sheikh Rashid he gives all loose statements. Sheikh Rashid has also said one good statement that who gave Ajmal Kasab ka pata kisne diya inko? Nawaz Sharif ne diya. That means now they are accepting that Ajmal Kasab was a Pakistani. For a decade they kept denying. They denied the dead bodies of their soldiers in 1999 in the Kargil war. So I think they are meeting their own doomsday, and it is all self-destructive. You see, there are civil wars happening in the Punjab province, or the military comes and picks up an IG police, a serving IG. There are 11 officers of the Pakistan Army who are arrested by the Pakistan Army for hatching a plot against General Bajwa for assassinating him. This happened not less than a year ago. Now, Pakistan military is the one who calls the shots. The orders come from Rawalpindi. Our delegation comes from US, does not even meet Imran Khan, does not even sit with him. They go to Rawalpindi, meet the Chief of the Army Staff, meet General Bajwa, and then they fly back. How humiliating is that? Mr. Joe Biden has not spoken to Imran Khan even once. On the other hand, Imran Khan says, I have a letter over here where people are planning to either assassinate me or throw me out of power. Well, all that is a big hogwash. All that is psychological warfare. Now, and the fact remains that Imran Khan Niazi would not come into power today. And much of the fact that people of Pakistan some of them would wish but then they would wish that they would open a rope the bottle and put ice and drink and celebrate. But no, that's not going to happen. The reality is different. Imran Khan himself has accepted that Shahbaz Sharif has got a brand new Sherwani and Ashkan stitched for the time when he comes into power. Because Shahbaz Sharif, look at the confidence, he's saying, "But 1.5 दिन और 1.5 दिन के बाद मैं power में होऊंगा वहाँ पे." So most certainly, as Sumit Peer again said, the only hope that can save Imran Khan Niazi is his wife Bushra Bibi, which I am not saying. Senior journalists from Pakistan have sat on your channel and they've said कि उनकी बीवी वहाँ पे जिंदा मुर्गे जला रही हैं उनके घर में कि कोई जादू टोना टोटका हो जाए. That is the only thing that can save him and nothing else. Paridhi.
All right, Major Shah, very well put. Thank you so much for all of those inputs. We also rope in our panelist, Colonel J.S. Sodhi, who's very patiently been waiting. Thank you so much, Colonel Sodhi, for waiting so patiently. You know, sir, very interesting. Abhinandan's also just pointed out China's role, the fact that, you know, there was, of course, a visit by Imran Khan that was made to Russia right when the war started. Soon after that, you know, lots of developments took place wherein China on one hand said that it's not going to be interfering as far as the Russia-Ukraine crisis is concerned. Pakistan, of course, has been mum on the crisis. But, you know, Colonel Sodhi, then what we also must talk about is what happens if at all the leader of the opposition, Shahbaz Sharif, is put into power. Is that still going to mean that China is going to continue to have a very big role to play as far as Pakistan is concerned, as far as Pakistan's politics is concerned?
It's a very good question, and I would like to answer it by going a little back into history. You know, in the 1965 India-Pakistan war, which we had, which Pakistan caused as the Operation Gibraltar, that was planned by their then Foreign Minister Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, who later on became the Prime Minister. Now, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in 1965 remarked that we will make an atom bomb even if Pakistanis have to eat grass. Well, it is policies like that which has got Pakistan into the economic quagmire today. And like Abhinandan rightly gave the statistics, you know, the economic condition of Pakistan is at the rock bottom because of statements like this which the founding fathers gave. And any country which has to be a name to reckon with in this world, whether Russia or India, they always first make themselves economically strong, then militarily strong, and if possible have nuclear weapons. Well, Pakistan has done exactly the opposite. Right from the time the country was made, they have had an anti-India rhetoric. Their hatred for India is well known internationally, and they devoted the entire energy on making the military strong. The entire money was spent on making military strong, and military controls their defense and the foreign affairs. As a result of the, very lopsided economic policies which they had, they find themselves in the quagmire today. And just few months back, Imran Khan did not have 3.5 lakh rupees to pay for the monthly bill of his Prime Minister's office. So we can well imagine the economic condition Pakistan is in today. As far as your question goes, China will always remain a very prominent force in Pakistani politics because China has given them a lot of loan. China has got its vested interest there, whether the Belt Road Initiative or whether the virtual control of Gwadar Port. China will always have its, his way chalked out in Pakistan. Any Prime Minister may come or go. Even if Shahbaz Sharif becomes the Prime Minister today evening, things are not going to change in Pakistan because their economic policies have been so pathetic, and that is the reason any Pakistani Prime Minister cannot survive, because he is expected to produce miracles, which is not possible because of the economic mess they are in. So whether it is the Pakistani army, we may say, whether it is the China, we may say, or the any Pakistani Prime Minister, we may say, the fault line is basically their, lopsided economic policies, where they have not, I repeat, given due attention to the economic aspect, and today they have virtually no economy left. When Imran Khan took over 4 years back, the loan of Pakistani debt was 50.5 billion US dollars. Today it is 85.6 billion US dollars. Almost every international monetary agency has refused to give Pakistan loan. Imran Khan has gone all over to Russia also, to China also, asking for more loans. They all have, offered him a cup of tea, and that is it. So the economic mess is what Pakistan needs to come out of it. Prime Ministers will come and go. Chief of Army Staff will change. But the economic mess that Pakistan has self-created is the reason for all these problems happening there.
All right, Colonel Sodhi, hold on to that thought. You know, while we talk about international affairs and while we talk about Pakistan's role as far as China is concerned, there of course is something that the Pakistani Prime Minister, soon to be probably ex-Prime Minister, he's been, you know, crying off, he's been crying foul that he had an independent foreign policy, which was not something that went down well with the West. But as far as Pakistan is concerned, it's only been looking at China. So then where does this independent foreign policy come in? What is this scandal of an independent foreign policy that the Pakistani Prime Minister has been crying out loud for? Major Mohammed Ali Shah, if you can just take that answer.
Yes, Paridhi, you know, just yesterday Imran Khan Saab's statement came out saying that he heard the statement of UK. They have said that we cannot impose anything on India. They are an independent nation. They have their own sovereignty, so we cannot really say anything to them. Then what about us? We are not independent. So that is how the world is perceiving Pakistan today under the leadership of Imran Khan. Again, a self-goal by Imran Khan. He's trying to show that, you know, see, people are not really identifying them as an independent sovereign nation. Now, when we talk about, you're talking about loans from China, which Pakistan has taken. Again, Paridhi, look at the state which will be brought out about Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka had taken loans from China and Sri Lanka was unable to pay back the loans. As a result, what happened? The Hambantota Islands, that is a harbour. In fact, the Hambantota harbour was taken over by China on a 99-year lease for them. And earlier itself, the signs had started coming. The writing on the wall was clear, so we knew that Sri Lanka is in trouble. India has given a relief package of $2.4 billion to Sri Lanka in month of February and March to bail them out. And also the Sri Lankans' January trade deficit stood at $859 million. The country's central bank has said that. Now, look at the state where there's not enough paracetamol available over there. 13 hours of power cut, no fuel, no milk, no electricity. The island's national imports were 23.1% and $1.6 billion. And now that is the state Sri Lanka came into because they made friends with China. They took loans, and look at the state. The state, Pakistan is going to meet with the first state actually because they never learn by history. Why do we study history? We study history so that we can rectify our mistakes. We can take corrective course of action, seeing where we had gone wrong. But here they refuse to actually learn from the history. So they are meeting their own doomsday. 17.5% to $1.10 billion. Now that was the nation's January imports of Sri Lanka. Pakistan is going to fare even badly already, as Colonel Sodhi rightly said. They did not have 5 lakh rupees in Pakistan currency to pay the government expenditure of their Prime Minister's office. Now that is the kind of level that Pakistan is reaching to. So why all this? Why? If they do a self-introspection, they should be able to realize it's because of their own mistakes and nobody else. There is a couplet which our Shair Mirza Ghalib, he had written in 1857 in Bahadur Shah Zafar's court, where he would have a lot of jugalbandi with his ustad, Nawab Hasan Zoq. He wrote, हमें तो अपनों ने ही लूटा खैरों में कहाँ दम था हमें तो अपनों ने ही लूटा खैरों में कहाँ दम था हमारी कश्ती वहीं डूबी जहाँ पानी कम था. So that is the state of Pakistan, and Imran Khan cannot blame the military or the ISI or the Western agencies for that. He himself is responsible for his own doomsday. He thought he is the president, he is not a puppet, but yes, just yesterday he hosted a diplomatic dinner. Okay. And he invited political members. He tried to do political diplomacy over here. But let me tell you, the turnout of the dinner itself, the informal dinner, was very thin. Hardly anyone turned up there. A diplomatic political dinner. There has been an attack on Nawaz Sharif in London over there. And of course, people are blaming Imran Khan to actually go ahead and try these stunts. So, and you know what? There's something very, very funny. You laugh at this. There was a senior of mine, Major Mohammed Ali Shah, I heard one of the videos where he got this input where people in Pakistan were doing voodoo magic, 6 people, and they were punching pins into General Bajwa's doll to inflict pain on him and to cause casualty on him. Now that is the level that these people are doing now. All that stems from the top again, as some magic happens. Apparently, Bushra Bibi, Imran Khan's third wife, she knows how to do the black magic very well, apparently. So Pakistan is only sinking its own ship and heading for their own doomsday.
All right. You can also rope in Colonel J.S. Sodhi, who's still with us on the broadcast. Colonel Sodhi, at what point do you think things changed for Pakistan? At one point, of course, they were very close to the United States as well, like Professor Nalapat has just mentioned. At what point did things change for Pakistan, but also more importantly for Imran Khan? Because Imran Khan, of course, had the support of General Bajwa for the longest time. So then what is it that went so horribly wrong that Imran Khan is now facing a no-trust vote in the Pakistan National Assembly?
Quite ironical that Imran Khan, who gave a 3-year extension to General Qamar Bajwa, today it is the same General Qamar Bajwa who is ensuring that Imran Khan is on his way out. Well, that is how things work in Pakistan, because the moment anyone raises his voice against the Pakistani army, they are on the way out. And this is exactly what has happened with Imran Khan. When last year he sat over on the file of the appointment of the new DG ISI, well, General Qamar Bajwa knew that this man has to go. So all these political developments are a step towards that direction, because the army in Pakistan is the most powerful, which calls all the shots. They have 55 NGOs which control everything in Pakistan, right from the banking to their housing to their construction to their supplies to their petrol supply. So the Pakistani army is very, very powerful, and anyone who raises a eyelid against them, they have to leave. So I mean, Imran Khan's fallout with Pakistani Chief Army Staff started last year when he sat over the file of the appointment of the new DGISI, and these are all developments in that direction.
All right, stay on with us, Colonel Sodhi. If I can also rope in Major Mohammed Ali Shah, who is also with us on the broadcast. Major Shah, what is your assessment? Why is it that for Imran Khan now, it is a no-trust vote? Why is it that Bajwa has pulled out support from Imran Khan? Why at this point, why at this juncture? Is it because the economy is in complete shambles? Is that possibly one of the reasons? What is it?
Imran Khan has been a failed leader completely. In fact, as Colonel Sodhi rightly brought out, Professor Madhav Nalapat rightly brought out, Sumit Peer had rightly brought out the same. I mean, they are very pertinent points over here. But also coming back to with a slight difference of opinion, if I say Imran Khan, well, I've seen his batting record, he was a very poor batsman. So if he was a very poor batsman and he says he will play to the last ball, last wicket, last over, you can well imagine how badly the poor batsman will actually play. Now, also, as Colonel Sodhi said, last year, 6th October 2021, when the orders for the DGISI, General Faiz Hamid, was out that he would be transferred out. Because common sense, a spy would operate quietly. And ideally speaking, with all logical mind, who will go? The foreign minister would go. The Minister of External Affairs would go. Shah Mahmood Qureshi should have gone, by all means. But Faiz Hamid, General Faiz Hamid, who already has a very tainted image, I don't want to get too much personal, but there is a General Saab's daughter in Pakistan by the name of Arusa. Now, General Faiz Hamid and Arusa were very, very close, to the extent that he was, the story is a different thing, that he got shot up in his back by his wife with a service revolver. That's what I've heard. So, I mean, that's a different story. So, who already has a tainted image, General Faiz Hamid. And also, if you see one more thing, the QR for General Faiz Hamid to become the chief of the army staff, which meant that he had to command a corps, which he had not commanded a corps until then. So he was being transferred to a corps, which would have also career-wise favored General Faiz Hamid. And General Arunjum Parvez, who was brought in as the ISI chief, it could have been, but then Imran Khan sat on that file for 3.5 weeks, not budging. And the question you asked was, why is it that the Prime Ministers fail? That is when they start having a wrong notion about themselves, that we are the Prime Minister, we will do. When they start, because the problem with Pakistan is not, they don't mend with their own affairs. They look in the neighbor's window and they see what's happening there. So when they see that the Indian Prime Minister is so powerful, why cannot the Prime Minister, they try to compare themselves with us. And, oh, in India the Prime Minister is so powerful, let us also try the same stunt. It would not work. It would fail completely. Look at the foreign policy. Look at our foreign policy. Today they have come to the state that, you know, Pakistan, nobody gives, no one cares. No one, I don't want to, sorry, I was about to slip my tongue was about to slip and I was about to say something, but thank God I controlled myself. But Pakistan, nobody really cares about them. Look at our foreign policy. We had Naftali Bennett, the Israeli Prime Minister, was to come to India but had COVID, so did not come. Well, we had Prime Minister Sheikh Bahadur Dioba of Nepal. He came and he had a big conference yesterday in India. And of course, the Russian Foreign Minister Sodhi Lavrov was over here and he spoke about payments, and they've opened up payment gateways. Like, you don't have to pay in dollars only. Now, pay in rupees, pay in rubles, if need be, you can pay in gold as well. That was decided, and a lot of matters. US expressed their displeasure. They sent the Deputy NSA, Dalip Singh of Indian origin from US. He came and said a day before that we will have to have consequences, but then India still went ahead. Pakistan, Imran Khan's praising Pakistan. Pakistan dare not do it. They dare not do it. We had Liz Truss, the UK Foreign Secretary, who had visited India on 31st March. A day before that, the Mexican Foreign Minister, Marcelo Ebrard, he had come to India. The German Foreign and Security Policy Advisor, James Lautner, was here. The European Union Special Envoy for Indo-Pacific, Gabriel Weston, was here on March 28th. March 25th, the Chinese Foreign Minister Wang Yi, who had come from Pakistan, came to India and thereafter went straight to Nepal. On March 24th, we had the Oman Foreign Minister, Syed bin Hamid bin Ahmad Busani. We had the US Under Secretary of State for Political Affairs, Victoria Nuland, on 2nd March. On 21st March, we had the Australian Prime Minister, Scott Morrison, but he did not come here. It was a virtual thing, just like we are meeting right now virtually. On March 19th, the list goes on. Prime Minister Fumo Shibuya from Japan was here. The list goes on, and in the future also, we'll have more diplomats visiting. Pakistan cannot dream of that. But when they try to get over-ambitious, and when they overstretch their boundaries, that is when trouble starts arising in Pakistan. And Professor Mandanapat, okay, he brought out a few names. I would say those are the names of the best of the bad lot. So everyone over there is like, just like in Hamlet, they say something is rotten in Denmark. Everything is rotten in Pakistan. And why? I will tell you why, Pradeep. Because they do not want to learn from the history. We have taken so many lessons, and each time we grow from strength to strength. Today we have become Atmanirbhar. Two nations which got independence around the same day. Only a few hours difference. And see the difference. It's visible to the whole world. It is visible to every small child. Why were they left behind? Why are they today, their economy is in shambles? Why is it that because of the leadership, poor leadership, failed leadership, people have no confidence in their government? That's why the no confidence motion and the no trust vote is happening. So yes, Pakistan, as I rightly said, it is going to meet their own doomsday. Today, all their friends are backing out. US has backed out. Saudi Arabia was not willing to give them any support, any loan, but yet they begged. Fine. China asked for a compensation for few Chinese engineers who had died at the dam. They were working, and the responsibility was Pakistan's. Pakistan, look at their relationship with India. The Wahhabi in Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia also is not willing to support Pakistan. So Pakistan is actually being totally boycotted, and it would be boycotted. And of course, and Karan Sodhi rightly brought out, the irony is Imran Khan had given 3-year extension to the Pakistani Army Chief, General over there, General Bajwa. But now the same general wants him out. So is the circus that's happening in Pakistan. It is so entertaining. It is really entertaining. It's actually like a one-day cricket match, or it's like a web.
Hold on to the thought, Major Shah. And if I could take my next question from Colonel Sodhi, who's also with us in the broadcast. Colonel Sodhi, Imran Khan ousted, let's assume for a second. So then, what does this mean for Pakistan-occupied Kashmir?
Whether Imran Khan remains or he's ousted, or Shahbaz Sharif comes or Bilal Bhutto comes, POK remains the way it is for Pakistan because it suits Pakistani army's interest. Pakistani army, ever since the independence, has built an image of hating India, having an anti-India rhetoric, because it suits the Pakistani army, because it gives them, unlimited funds and unlimited powers. So they are not going to let this egg out of the basket, even if the Prime Minister changes, which is very likely to happen very soon, matter of minutes now. But the fact remains that POK will remain a pot boiler for Pakistan because it suits their national interest. More so, it suits the army. Each army chief who has come has initially said he wants good relations in India, but within few days we have come to know the real face, where they have been as the previous army chiefs of Pakistan, and they've supported the militancy in India, whether in J&K or in Pakistan or in Punjab earlier in the 1980s. So nothing is going to change in Pakistan. Any prime minister may come or go. For them, certain issues like POK, Kashmir, militancy, anti-India rhetoric, all these things are going to remain the same, because this is the ideology, this is the basis on which Pakistan has been existing till now. None of their leaders are ready to take a fact check that
Sodhi, hold on to that thought. We're getting some breaking developments. We're given to understand that it is likely that Imran Khan can address the nation. It is likely that Imran Khan can, in fact, address the people of Pakistan. That is going to be an interesting address to watch out for. And, of course, the proceedings in the Pakistan National Assembly have already begun. We already have speakers that have started speaking, the MNAs that have already started speaking in the National Assembly. So, lots to look out for Imran Khan's address, as well as the no trust vote that is going to be playing out very shortly. Colonel Sodhi, why don't you finish your train of thought?
The news is trickling in that Imran Khan is going to address the nation very soon, and he's not reached the National Assembly. Well, these are all indicators probably that he's realized his time is actually up, which he should have realized on the 8th of March when Shahbaz Sharif tabled the no confidence motion. But since he delayed it, now the writing is very, very clear in the wall that he has to go. Well, having said that, we were on the topic of, POK or Kashmir or support of militancy operation in India. Well, nothing is going to change in Pakistan, because the very existence of Pakistani army is on these core principles of hatred and terrorism, and which no Pakistani army chief will let them go. Pakistan should learn from India. We were carved out almost one day after the other, and see the difference where India is today. India is a global superpower. I would call India a superpower, because India has proved itself in every field, in international relations, diplomatic relations, military strength, economic strength. This is what Pakistan needs to learn from us. Until and unless they have their own politician or one army chief who decides to change the course, nothing's going to change in Pakistan. Prime ministers may come or go, army chiefs may come or go.
All right, Colonel Sodhi, you say that unless there is an army chief that decides to change the course, but how highly likely, or rather unlikely, is it that the Pakistani army is going to want to give up the kind of control that they hold over the government? Major Shah, why don't you take that?
Pakistan military will never want to give out their control over what they hold in Pakistan. Of course, and Professor Madhav rightly brought out the two youngsters' name, and Maryam Sharif and Bilawal Bhutto. Bilawal Bhutto had given a ridiculous statement as well, that we will soon take over Srinagar. Well, let me tell you that they're not even been able to look after their own Muzaffarabad. What will they dream of taking over Srinagar? So yes, Madhav sir had rightly brought out the name of the best of the bad lot. So now, and at the same time, when the best of the bad lot, also a hypothetical situation, though it's actually going to be Shahbaz Sharif who will be taking over. But even though he might be a good or bad choice, that's a different thing. But whoever comes in, whichever prime minister comes in, ultimately has to accept the fact that he is being controlled by the military. He has to keep shut, and he has not got to get drunk by power, and not let the power come into his head. He has to just imagine that yes, he is a domestic servant to the Pakistan military, to the chief of the army staff in Pakistan per se, and function according to them. Only then, let's see who will set this record in Pakistan of actually completing a term. And if you see, almost same thing happened in Nepal. In fact, Nepal also, the prime minister is not able to complete his term for various reasons. But there it's different. There, because earlier when monarchy was there, it was all very good in Nepal. When it's only when democracy set in, there was a problem over there. But now, if you see Pakistan, if you study them strategically, if you see why is it that they're happening, because they are manufacturers and they are specialists in IT, not information and technology, but international terrorism. And because it's like if you harbor snakes in your background, they will come out ultimately and bite you. And that is exactly what Imran Khan did. That's exactly what their chief army staff did. But Pakistan would, in Pakistan, their military would never be in a position to surrender their power, and they would like to lose the rules forever.
All right.